Hi, I'm Rick Dior, and welcome back to my series on the Les Parks book, 15 Diversions for the Snare Drum. That was a solo called Bonnie Ethel. It's the third solo in the book and a very, very tricky solo. So all of a sudden, these solos get hard. The first two, not too bad. This one's a handful. That's similar to the Pratt book where you have Drum Corps on Parade, then Licorice and Molasses, and then all of a sudden you have the Pinecone Forest, which is a couple levels up in difficulty. I'm doing this solo at quarter note equals 113. It's a little bit slower than I've done the past two because it's so complex. The sticks I'm using are a little bit lighter because, again, the complexities of this solo, you got to move fast. So these are Reverse Tip, which I really like, Zebrawood, and they're about 72 grams. So they're about 10 to 12 grams lighter just because I have to do so much acrobatics here technically. So there's a lot to talk about. As usual, I'm doing my rolls a little bit longer. So I'm doing a 30-second note bass roll instead of the triplet bass roll, which would be as written with the eighth note. If you have questions on that, I suggest you look at the first two videos where I explain it in detail. So we'll jump right in here. This has a section that's very reminiscent of Wilcoxon, and this was written much later, so it might have been influenced by his writing. But if you look at the fourth line through the sixth line, let me play that for you, even the seventh line actually. Let me play you those four lines. So we'll start at the fourth line. 1, 2, 1, 2. So yeah, you noticed and remember that from Wilcoxon if you've studied those, roughing the single drag. That solo, heating the rudiments, is a whole section just like that. So you should try to do the accents as written, although you can experiment. It's very jazzy there. Try not to play the drags too loud. So let me slow that down for you. I'll play it very slow at 100, and we'll do the same passage. 1, 2. I went a little further there. You've got to tie the drags into the rhythms, okay? Don't play it stiff like this, and I'll speed it back up to 113. Don't play it like this. And so on. Okay, you get the idea. It's actually hard for me to do that. It's got to flow. It's got to all be interconnected like this. So this is one of those sections that actually sounds really good fast. So if we do it at 120, 1, 2. The problem is when you get to the next page, that tempo is not realistic, really. You can, but it'll sound messy, especially if you look at the first line of the second page. You have this 10-stroke roll. He actually puts a little key there. He wants that to be a 10-stroke roll with the flam being the last note. So that is really squeezed in there. And we'll go back to 113 and I'll play that for you. Actually, let me play it for you slow at 100 so you can hear it. So here's the second page. All right, so you see that 10-stroke roll. Very, very tricky and fast. That would be a triplet, 30-second note triplet based roll there, squeezed in there. Now let's play it up to tempo. 1, 2. That is probably the hardest part of this solo. That will determine your tempo. So when you're practicing these things, you go through them, find the most difficult part, work on it a lot, and whatever tempo you get that at cleanly, and that is still a little uncomfortable, but that will be your tempo for the rest of the solo. So the next part that's difficult, this whole page is really tricky, but the fourth line, we have this sticking in the last bar that again, tricky to play slow, but you have these one-handed flam taps. So let's play that fourth line and go a little further. 1, 2. Going on, the next few lines are not too bad, but then we get to the last 3 lines, which are tricky. Let me play those for you. 1, 2, 1, 2. Complex, and make sure you do all the stickings that are written. Now again, I'm playing these fast. I don't want the video to last an hour. You can slow this down on YouTube if you go under the settings and see everything slower here. But you need to practice them slowly and make sure you're playing the right stickings. I think I'm getting almost all of them correct. Maybe I messed a few of them up, but try to be faithful to what he wanted. Again, that's what makes the solo difficult, are the stickings. So I'll play the solo for you again now. You won't hear the click, but I'll be listening to it to make sure the time is steady. And we'll see you next time with solo number 4.